Hi everyone, in this video I'm just going to give a quick rundown of what I do when I'm hand sanding my blades after I've heat treated them and just before I put the final bevels onto them. Right, so the equipment I'm going to use. First of all, polishing stones. I've got onto these with Tony Mason Bushcraft Knives. You can find him on Instagram. Professional mould polisher for injection mould. So he suggested to me using the polishing stones. I've moved on to these and I quite like them. I'll put the details in the description of which particular stones I'm using. Here I've got a 320 and a 600, but ideally I'd want to use a 400 grit as well, but unfortunately I ain't got any left at the minute, so I'm going to use 400 paper. So what I'll do is I'll start on with the 320, move on to my 400 paper, and then on the 600 grit stone. Paper wise, I know a lot of people are raving about Rhino Wet, but I'm using Matador paper. So I'll split this into little strips, and the reason I do that is because I use sticks for hand sanding, so you can work small areas at a time. So same again, you use these for when you're doing polishing moulds and what have you. Same again, Tony suggested doing these. So I'll use those. Once I've used my 400 grit, I'll move back, I say, back onto my 600 grit, and then I've also got over here some 600 grit paper, and I'll finish off with that. So I'm only going to take it up to 600 grit, give it a nice satin flat finish. Blue roll, keep cleaning it every now and again. I've got this, which is like an equivalent to a WD-40, but in a pump spray, so I can keep control of it. If I was just using paper, then I might use the Windoline Windex stuff, just so it's not quite as harsh. But if I'm using the stones, then I'll use the oil-based one, the WD-40 one. So let's get started. One thing I didn't mention then is something else that's quite handy: light. Helps you find all those little tiny scratches that you end up leaving in. So what I'm going to use is, I've got a little Coney kit I'm going to start off with. I've already taken the back end down to 40 grit, and I'm going to leave that as it is, just as a help for bonding when I stick the handles back on. But I'm just going to work on this front section, starting off with the 320 grit. These knives, actually, before I sent them off for heat treating, I took them down to 320 grit on my grinding belts. So basically it's a rough 320. That's why I always start going from 320 and then working my way up. So blue roll, make sure you always use a bit of that. Give it a bit of clean every now and again, just so you can see where your scratches are. That's why it's handy to have the light that you can move around so you can find the scratches. Once you've got them again, put my lubricant on them and start back with the stones. Always have a good look to see if you can find any scratches. This way I'm going across the blade, so I want to be looking for them backwards and forwards. Someone's just turned up. I'll be starting off with just the straight wooden stick. I've got another one with a piece of leather placed onto the end of it, just to soften it up so it can blend any scratches in. So a bit more lubrication. So I don't know if they're picking up on the camera, but I've still got a few more scratches around this area and just around this area that I want to do. One or two just on this section here. So I'll just keep working my way through with a 400 grit and see how we get. So just to help me find some of the scratches, what I'm going to use is a stick with a piece of leather stuck on the end of it. This just smoothens the lines out a little bit better, finds any contours, and it also points out if I've got any more little fine scratches that I need to try and get rid of. Now I'm going to go on to my 600 grit stone, which I'm going to go across the blade, so opposite to what I've just done with the 400. But once I've finished with the 600 stone, I'll go into the 600 paper and take it backwards and forwards across the blade. This will make sure that I've got all the little tiny scratches out of the way. Once I've done that, I'll just draw it all down with a larger piece of 600 grit. Yeah, I can still see some scratches along this top edge that I need to get shut off. So there we go, moving on to the 600 grit paper, moving on to the stick that hasn't got the leather stuck onto it. There we go, and start backwards and forwards. Because we've already gone down to 600 grit, this one shouldn't take too long. Keep moving the paper up to a bit of fresh every now and again. This one's, the Matador's a silicon carbide paper, so it does break down as you're working it. Now moving on to the stick with a bit of leather on. Pretty much got all those out, and the last bit I just drew it down with a piece of paper, so just a piece of plain, get all your scratches in the right direction. So again, 600 grit, first of all on hard side, once I'm happy with that, move it to a piece that's got a bit of leather backing. Same again as what you've done with the sticks, it just helps it blend it all in. There we go. I don't go too crazy with this because I've still got to put my bevels on, but I like to get it somewhere close so it's just a little bit of finishing work to complete the knife. So there we go. See how this comes out. Difficult to find scratches with the camera. No, it's just a bit of... There we go. Take that off. So there we go. That's that side completed. All I need to do is swap over onto the other side. I'm just going to give a wipe down to my board, wipe the knife down. One thing else I do when I'm starting the other side is I just put a piece of blue roll down, just to try and prevent any more scratches from coming back onto the side that you've just done. So G-clamp out, there we go. Clamp it back down again, and then just start the process on this side. And I'll come back to you once I've all completed it. Got a friend with me as well today in the workshop, but she's fallen asleep on me. So that's this one done, all down to 600 grit, quite a nice satin finish. Alright, that's pretty much what I sort out most of my knives to, unless it's specified that they want it polished up. It just takes that little bit longer, that's all. The bevel has still got to be put on. I'll put those on a grinder. What I'll do is I'll get a batch sorted out and then I'll do them all together, and then obviously put the handles on. Now these batches that I'm sorting out at the moment are the ones that I'm going to be taking to the Midland Game Fair. This year I've been invited onto the BASC stand, so the British Association for Shooting and Conservation. I'll be on their stand this year, so if you're going down there, make sure you come down and have a look. What I'm doing is I've got a few coney kits to sort out. I've got some mulgraves that I'm going to sort out and some of my row stalkers. And with a row stalker, I'm going to make a kit up where it's a row stalker and a zipper as well. So just come down. I'll probably put some photos up beforehand, but come down and have a look. Other than that, thank you very much, and I'll see you later.